Hey everyone, I think this is the second chapter that I read to you from my book M is for Magic. This is not the second chapter, but this is one of the chapters in the book. It's about my furry love Binky that I got to come with me to Berlin. He had been in Amsterdam already for 5 years, I think, before I let him come with me to Berlin, or maybe 4 years, doesn't really matter. Binky has since passed over the rainbow, and yeah, I still dream about him, and I know that he's still with me. So this is for you guys and for him as well, a really important being in my life. Binky meet Berlin, Berlin meet Binky. Imagination is the one and only reality. Neville Goddard. I had been thinking for a while that I wanted to bring my adorable furry sweetheart to Berlin, but because I believed it would be difficult, I hadn't really gotten around to it yet. But since the feeling grew stronger, I decided to check with my flatmate at the time if she would be okay with me bringing him over to live with us. She was okay with it. So that was that. I decided to bring him over by plane, and coincidentally, I had arranged a meeting with my ex-partner that I desperately wanted back in my life at the time, the day after that I would arrive back with Binky. This meeting, the ex, turned out to be the perfect ingredient for me to have to go hard on the spot. I really had to go hard, which you will read about in a bit. So I had been into Neville Goddard very much at that point in time. Neville and Seth both claim, and I believe their claim, that everything is first created in our mind's eye before it enters our reality as a finished product. I visited my mom and dad that live in Horen, which is 40 kilometers out of Amsterdam, before I traveled to Amsterdam to pick my furry baby up. My mother asked me if I had everything I needed in order to bring him with me to Berlin. What do you mean? I asked her. Monique, she said, rolling her eyes. He needs the proper vaccinations to be able to come to Berlin with you. Freaking F's, was my first thought, followed by, I don't need these things. I have my imagination. Mom will be fine, I told her, slightly annoyed by her lack of faith in my preparations. Had I known how much I would have to be putting my faith to the test, I probably would have gone for the vaccinations. But then again, I would not have had this experience. So on second thought, I probably would have still chosen this experience. I told you in the beginning of this book that this quote from Seth is always top of mind whenever I find myself in not so favorable situations. You set your problems in the hope that you will solve them, not like millstones around your neck. It always places everything back into perspective, and I know that I'm here playing the game of life instead of life playing me. The fun started the moment that I arrived at the airport. I told you, right? I would have a date with my ex-partner the next day, and it'd been quite a thing for us to find a day and a time to meet, so I had to get on that plane with Binky. Miss, the ground steward said, that cage is way too big to go on the airplane. Wait, what? But I don't have another cage with me, I said, horrified. Sorry, rules are rules, the ground steward said, and in the meantime his colleague had joined him. Miss, can we see his vaccination passport? His female colleague asked me. I pulled out his passport and she was leafing through it and obviously didn't find what she was looking for because she turned to me, now looking a mix of worried and annoyed. You need blah, 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 and it isn't in there. Is there any way he does have this vaccination but you forgot to put it in his passport? She asked me. Oh boy. To be honest, I now wished I would have listened to my mother. I felt myself going into a state of stress, and I knew that I would not get my wish if I would stay in this state. I had to do something now. So all the while I was speaking to them, I would imagine myself feeling immense relief and sitting with Binky in his cage on my lap in the tram in Berlin on our way to his new home. I called the couple that had been taking care of him for a while. He fell off the balcony once and they took him to the vet. I remembered, so maybe they gave him this vaccination then? That could be the solution to this ordeal. Surely that would be. That would save the day. But no. I called the clinic that operated on him the time that he was really, really sick to see if they happened to have given him this vaccination at that time. Somehow they put it in the system, but not in his passport. Yes, that had to be it. No. Again. Crap. Different thoughts and feelings were all screaming for my attention at the same time. And I knew I couldn't entertain any of the negative ones. It was showtime, baby, now. I was no newbie to this game, and I knew I had created this situation for a reason, which was to prove my own power to myself, so I had to take control of my emotions and thoughts. Monique, get it together, I yelled to myself in my mind. You can falter any other day, but not today, not today. Okay, I was back. I still had stress going on internally, but I was also able to visualize us, Binky and me, in Berlin in the tram, and I was coaxing my body into relief at the same time. In the meantime, the ground steward and his colleague had called their supervisor, who was now the one to deal with this, because it seemed there would be no way that Binky could come on board to Berlin with me. Spoiler alert, it ends well. Otherwise, this would be a pretty crappy book, wouldn't it? What happened in the end was this. The supervisor worked with me on finding out if Binky had had the proper vaccination somehow and was all the while preparing me for the worst. He wasn't allowed in Germany without his vaccination. Those were the specific rules, and she couldn't break these rules, otherwise she would personally be in trouble. She asked me to walk with her. I forgot what it was we were doing there, since it's been a couple of years since I went through this ordeal. And at one point she whispers in my ear, "Okay, I'll let you get on that flight, but don't let your cat out of the house once you're in Berlin." "Of course," I promised her. The situation did a 180 on such an unexpected moment that it took a couple of moments for me to understand what had just happened. Holy crap! I did it! I did it! Now I did feel the relief taking over my body, just like I had hoped to feel and tried to feel moments before, and I was truly ecstatic. Not only was I able to board the aircraft with a way too big of a cat basket, I was also able to board the plane without Binky having the proper papers to enter Germany. I did it. Oh no. Hold on. What would happen when I would enter the German airport? These Germans make no jokes when it comes to rules. And there I was back into a state of worry. Less worry than before, but still not really relaxed. The next hour and a half on the plane was spent in prayer and imagination, seeing myself walk out of the airport, boarding airport bus with Binky in his carrier, and us changing to take the tram to his new home. When I arrived at the airport in Germany, they did ask for the passport, but the customs agent was so distracted that he didn't really check the passport and gave it back to me without even having really checked it. Man, when I think back to that story, I can still feel the turmoil of these excruciating moments that felt like hours and hours of mental and nervous system torture. But, and we did make it. And we were together on that tram on the way to Binky's new home, exactly how I had imagined it some hours before. The end.